My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Candyman. Every time I hear Candyman, I just think of that one scene in Madagascar.
You can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with you, the Candyman.
Who can make the sun rise? It's a good song. But anyways, I am not the biggest fan of the original Candyman. And when I say I'm not the biggest fan of it, I mean I absolutely hate it and I don't get the love behind it. But I still went into this movie very optimistically. The trailers for this movie looked amazing. I heard great things. So I went in ready to love it, and I absolutely hated this movie. All the performances fell completely flat for me. No one had any bit of personality. No one brought this movie to life. And I thought the characters were all terribly developed. Like, at no point did I have a firm grasp on who these characters were. I had an idea of what they did for a living, but I didn't really know these characters. I wasn't able to connect to anyone. While the story was progressing, there was no attachment between me and the characters. There was just that emotional detachment because there was nothing about the characters that I gravitated towards that allowed me to get emotionally invested in them. Yes, you can say, oh, well, bad things are happening, but I need more than that. To rely on that as a crutch is just lazy. And this movie isn't scary at all. Nobody would be scared by this movie. I could watch this movie at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night with a thunderstorm going on outside, just pitch black, just my phone's away, just I'm forced to watch this movie in the middle of the night, and I still wouldn't be scared. At no point did I even get goosebumps or chills. At no point was I on the edge of my seat. At no point did I feel like the movie was intense. At no point did I feel like it was atmospheric. At no point was there even a jump scare. Like, this movie just wasn't scary at all. They do tease some body horror elements, but they don't really go into it. You see it for maybe like 2 seconds and that's about it. So that element really let me down too. They kind of tease it without fully delivering on it. I also thought the pacing and the structure of this movie was really off. Like, the movie begins with a scene of a kid running into the Candyman. And right from that scene, actually, I knew this movie wasn't going to be scary. But then the kid screams and all the cops go run towards him, and we don't find out what happens next. And then 20 minutes later, we find out what happened next, and I'm just like, that's just really odd. Like, usually when a movie begins with a flashback scene, and then we don't see what happens next, usually that comes into play later in the movie. But just because we see how it plays out in the first 20 minutes, I was just thinking, well, we could have seen how it plays out then, and then that way, the ideas that the movie's going for would be there from the very beginning, instead of being like, ooh, what's happening? And then you find out 20 minutes later. It's just very sloppy, and this movie definitely doesn't follow the typical horror movie structure. And I'm not saying it has to. I like it when movies play out of the box and do different things that allow their movie to stand out. You know what horror movie structure I'm talking about. You get it when you watch Insidious or The Conjuring. Just things start off as normal, and then some spooky stuff starts happening, and then more and more and more spooky stuff starts happening as the movie progresses. And you need that in a movie like this. You need that escalation. And I just feel like this movie was lacking it. In fact, it's just, oh, there's a few people that get killed by the Candyman, but it just felt like an individual kill, an individual kill, an individual kill. At no point did I feel like the movie was escalating towards a big, scary finale. It just felt like time was passing by, but the movie never raised its stakes or never escalated more throughout. And even though they aimed for that element with the body horror aspect that I mentioned earlier, it's not nearly explored enough or plays a big enough part to really have any kind of impact. This movie is just completely rushed. Like, when it ended, I was just like, is that it? Like, I was glad it was done, but I'm just like, that was only an hour and a half long. Like, they could have definitely fleshed it out further. I get an idea what they were going for with the themes and the characters, but nothing felt fully developed. It just felt like a half-assed version of whatever plan they had. I'll also say that at no point does a movie allow any moments to linger, for moments to have impact. People die, and it's just like, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, and keeps going. Like, no, just let us sit with it for a bit. Just let us grasp what just happened. But the movie has this urge to just keep moving at this rapid fire pace, and it did not work for me at all. Very few things of this movie I'm actually going to remember, and one of them is, let's transition over to the positives, even though there was a negative in here, and that is the visual. There's some very ambitious stuff going on here, and I thought Nia DaCosta pulled it off flawlessly. There's just some moments that I'm just like, how did they do that? The way that they played around with certain moments, it was very unique, it was ambitious. Nia DaCosta brings a great visual aesthetic to this movie, and that's definitely something I have to praise because that one element of this movie definitely stands out. There were these moments that you saw in the trailer of the shadow puppets, and I thought those moments looked amazing, but they were also really poorly handled because every like 5 or 10 seconds, whenever one of those moments is going on, it would cut back to the character telling the story, and it just took me right out of the moment. And I'm just like, no, allow me to get immersed into it. But they kept cutting to the character telling the story, so I couldn't appreciate those moments as much as I wanted to because the movie didn't allow me to. Visuals are incredible. I'll give the movie that. But just about every other element of it just completely failed miserably for me. I thought the script was a complete mess. The structure and the pacing was just all wrong. The performances were flat and dull and didn't add anything to the movie. The characters were poorly developed. It was never scary. The ideas didn't come across in an impactful way. I truly thought this movie was absolutely terrible. It was really bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Candyman a 3 out of 10. Okay, I know I've been really negative this week, but this weekend I'll be watching and reviewing the new gender reversed remake of She's All That, He's All That, starring TikTok star, so I'm sure that's gonna be a glowing review. But anyways, Candyman, did you find this was a sweet movie? Make sure you let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.